Our plan today is to overview the investments and enhancements into the GIER system. At the encouragement of IANA's Info Service Advisory Group and following review and approval by IANA's Board of Directors Technology Subcommittee, we created quite a list of enhancements to the GIER program, and we look forward to overviewing those with you today. This is going to include new equipment fields, new functionality related to the FMCSA and California bid inspections, electronic inspection form management and verification of inspector qualifications, as well as, and most importantly, connectivity to many of IANA's other programs, including the street interchange application, the gate control system, both UIIA programs, as well as the bad order equipment status system and the driver vehicle examination report system. So without further ado, here's Debbie Sasko to tell you more about these features. And this slide, we will encourage you after the presentation is over to refer back to this very first slide that we're showing you at the moment, which shows all the interrelationships between the various systems and provides some detail as to how those systems talk to each other. So with that, Debbie.
Good afternoon, everyone. What I thought we'd do first is we've prepared some PowerPoint slides with the changes just to give like a quick overview, and then we'll actually go into the application so you can see where these changes have taken place and what's changed actually within the application itself. So based on the conversations we had with the Information Services Advisory Group as well as stakeholders, GIER subscribers that had asked for modifications to the application, some of the changes that we've made is we've added some additional chassis fields, added tire type, tire size, axle count, ABS brakes, automatic tire inflation, and LED lights. Those are all now fields that users can provide. They're optional. They're not mandatory fields, but if you care to use them, they'll be there available to you to do so. We've also expanded the inspection data that GIER collects to include the California bid inspection, as well as the ability for the inspection forms to be uploaded within GIER as well. We've actually pulled out the FMC inspection date field by itself and given the ability to upload the actual inspection form for that date field, as well as the California bid inspection has the ability to upload the inspection form. And then the existing field that was out there previously that was for inspection type is now simply for other types of inspections, other state inspections, and then it will also have a date field associated as well. We've also implemented a feature that will automatically notify intermodal equipment providers that elect to maintain their inspection date information within the GIER database. So if you have your inspection information uploaded within GIER, you'll be automatically notified 30 days in advance of an upcoming inspection expiration date. If that expiration date should lapse, you would then be notified on the date of expiration and indicated that we have not received updated information. We'll also be able to upload inspection data information via the GIER General Excel template. So you'll have two ways to be able to update inspection data within GIER. You can do it through the web interface, through the web form, or else through the general GIER Add Excel template that majority of people use now to upload information within GIER. What we did with all the new fields that have been added to GIER is we've added those at the end of the existing template so that it allows for a transition period for users to be able to continue to use the old formatted template with the new data in it. It will just be at the end of the template field, so we'll continue to accept that for a period of time. And then once we are comfortable that everyone has transitioned to the new format, then we'll change that template just to move the fields where they should be in order on the template that makes sense. The last item here is the new BOSE yes/no flag, and that's for intermodal equipment providers that are also BOSE subscribers but elect to use GIER as the method of communication for the BOSE information. What that flag will do is anytime a piece of equipment has been placed in BOSE in a bad order status, that flag will be flipped to a yes, and that would be displayed on your equipment inventory page within the GIER application. Again, this new feature for the BOSE yes/no flag, though, is limited to those IEPs that also are BOSE subscribers. Otherwise, the field will be defaulted to no. We also have added the ability to register containers within GIER now. So as well as being able to maintain chassis in GIER, users will be able to also maintain their container fleet files within the GIER database. What we've done is we've created a new Excel template that will allow you to upload this container registration information, and we've actually developed a new component within GIER, separate and distinct from the chassis component that's out there now, where all the container activities would take place when you were going to register a container within the application. We've created a new container inquiry similar to the public inquiry that's out there now for chassis. You'll have a separate container inquiry for those that maintain container fleets within the GIER application. You'll be able to look up whether a container is registered in GIER, and it would return the current and previous container provider and register owner information, as well as the ISO size, type, and tar weight, and the GIER contact information. Two other items that we've added to GIER as far as functionality and new features are the ability for maintenance and repair vendors and inspectors to register within the GIER database. These are two new entities that currently do not have access to GIER information. What we've done is we've introduced these new registration processes for the maintenance and repair vendor and the inspector, simply to allow those entities to provide inspection data on behalf of an IEP, should the IEP authorize them to do so. So a maintenance and repair vendor can register in GIER and upload inspection data, and then once they register, the IEP would be notified. They select the IEP they want to upload information on behalf of. That IEP is then notified that an MRV has registered on their behalf, and then it would be up to the IEP to authorize that specific maintenance and repair vendor in order to allow them to upload inspection date information on their behalf. As that filters through, a maintenance and repair vendor can select an inspector to be registered as well. And that inspector, again, would only be able to upload information on behalf of an IEP if the IEP had authorized the maintenance and repair vendor that that inspector is tied to within the GIER application. Some new reports that we've added to the GIER application are for the containers. You'll see now that there are new reports available where if you maintain your container fleet files within GIER, you'll be able to run a report, container report by category, date range, a history report on containers, a TOC report, and an active and inactive container report. You'll see for the container registration, what we've done is made most of the functionality that's available for chassis to be also available for containers. There may or may not be a reason to have some of that functionality available, but we thought that it was better to put it out there, and then if it was needed, it would at least be available to those users that elect to maintain their container fleet files in GIER. And for the inspection report, we've added a new report that allows the user to pull inspection information by date range. And you can see on the screen the actual data parameters that are pulled back on the report for the results, which would be the alphanumeric for the equipment owner, current IEP, VIN, license plate, and state, and all three inspection date fields if they've been provided, as well as the inspection type field for those inspections for the various state-level inspections versus just the FMCSA and the California BIT inspection. So with that, what I'd like to do is actually take everyone into the application so you can see where these new features reside. So what I'm going to do is log in as an IEP first. So if I log in as an IEP, you can see that you have a new your navigation bar has been updated somewhat. Your chassis information that used to indicate equipment inventory will now read chassis inventory. So every reference to equipment has been changed to chassis as it relates to the chassis component of GIER. None of the functionality under here has changed other than the new functionality that we've added, but any of the current TOC functionality or anything like that has all remained the same. So if we look at the chassis inventory screen, you'll see here is the new Bose yes/no field. This again would be shown as a N. It would default to no. If the IEP was a subscriber to Bose and they had a piece of equipment that was reported in bad order, what Bose would do is notify GIER, and then that flag would then be changed to a yes. So you would see a yes here, and again, that's only for those that are using the Bose application as well. If you go across the top, you'll see the general add template. If we open that up, you'll be able to see where that's been modified to add the new fields starting in column AG. So these last fields here are all the new fields, your inspection date fields on all the tire size, axle, ABS brakes, automatic tire, and LED lights. These have all been added to the end of the existing Excel template, so those that continue to use that method to provide information to GIER will still be able to do so. We would encourage you to download the new template and use it, but we will still accept the old format if you upload it for a period of time until we feel comfortable that everybody's gotten used to or downloaded the new template. If you go into an actual record, you'll see online, you'll have the inspection date fields. You can see where we pulled out the FMCSA annual inspection date. And then you have the ability to upload a form, the actual inspection form. You would have access to see that form, whatever form it was that you would upload. Same with the California bid inspection. The state inspection, you would just have the ability to include the date. These are the fields here that the maintenance and repair vendor and an inspector that you had authorized would be able to update only this information here. They would not have the ability to update any of the other information in regards to your equipment inventory. Then if we go down to the container registration, you'll see here there's a container section now. So if I open that up, I have a container inventory, TOCs, container logs, container reports, scheduled reports, and then a button back to the chassis inventory. So this would be all related to the new feature for the container registration. So if I wanted to register a chassis, I could either do so via the Add Registered feature through the web interface, where you would see that there's certain pieces of information that are requested. Those are noted by an asterisk. So when you would register, we do require that you provide us with the alphanumeric, of course, and the ISO size type, which is a drop-down selection, and also the tire weight. All the other fields can be provided, but they're not mandatory at this time. So you have the option to register containers via this web interface, or else you can do it through the general add template. And again, that would be the template you would use just like you do with chassis. You'd have the ability to include a container on that particular Excel template. So if we go into a container field, you'll see one that's filled in here. You can see at the top that it indicates the feet indicated by a single quote and inches indicated by a double quote. And then the information here, you'll have the hire on and off hire button as well. The container inquiry works similar to the chassis inquiry field, where you'll be able to enter a container number and do a search, and it would bring back information that we have on that particular container. If it's registered in the system, it would have the previous container provider, if that was applicable, as well as the registered owner. At the top here, we give you the ISO size as well as the tar weight. If we look at the reporting functionality for reports for containers, here's the reports that I talked about a little earlier, where you have an active, inactive container report, container history report, container report by category, date range, or a TOC report. And then, of course, your examples of those reports would be shown over to the right-hand side of the screen to show you what information is included in each of the reports. If we go back up to chassis, under the reporting functionality for chassis, you'll see that there's a new report for last inspection. So when you click on that, it allows you to pull the last inspection information by start and end date. So you can pull for a date range. Say if you want to pull it for a 6-month period or a quarter, you'd be able to have that ability to do so. And the report that's returned to you would show you the equipment alphanumeric, the owner, the current IEP, VIN, license plate, and state, as well as the inspection dates that had been provided in the inspection type if it was a state inspection other than California bid and FMCSA. So with that, what I'd like to do is pull back up to the screen here for the IEP MRV Selection. This is a new button that's also available to the IEP, and this is where you would authorize any maintenance and repair vendor that had actually registered and indicated that they wanted to provide information on behalf of your company. When that maintenance and repair vendor registers, you'd get an email from the GIER application, and then you would then go into the system. You'd see a list of your maintenance and repair vendors, and you would either approve the vendor or reject the vendor, or if you have a maintenance and repair vendor that's currently active for you and you no longer want them to be, you'd have the ability to disable the user. So here's one that's pending right here. So I would click on Approve Vendor. It's going to ask, are you sure you want to update the record? You would say yes, and then that vendor, maintenance and repair vendor, then becomes active. So they would have the ability at that point to log into under their login credentials and access your equipment inventory, but only to provide inspection data information. They would not have the ability to access any other information as far as being able to update any other fields within your inventory. The other feature that's available on this screen is the availability for you to see if there are any specific inspectors associated with a maintenance and repair vendor. So if I clicked on a particular maintenance and repair vendor, I could see if they had individual inspectors associated with them, and if that inspector had uploaded during their registration process their certification documentation, I'd have the ability to access that documentation as well, whatever it may be. So from the IEP perspective, those are the new features that we've added. So what I'd like to do now is actually take you in and show you how a maintenance and repair vendor and an inspector can register as well. So from the home login page here, you'll see there's been two links added, new links added. One is for the maintenance and repair vendor in order for them to register. So they would click here. They'd fill in their company information, and then they would actually select what IEPs they want to be authorized for. And this is where, once they click the Save button on their registration, you would be notified that that maintenance and repair vendor had indicated that they wanted to be authorized by your company to provide inspection data. So if we go back, the inspector registration is the second link that we've added. Again, here they would fill in specific pieces of information. All of the required fields are shown by an asterisk. If they indicated they had a certification program that they had gone through and completed, it would ask them for the name of the certification program, the location, the program date, and then it would allow them to upload the certification form as well. So they could browse here and then select a document to actually upload here. And you've seen an example of that in what I had just shown you. In lieu of the certification program, they can opt to provide their combination of training and working experience, which would be the name of the facility where they're working and the total experience in years and months that they've had. So let me log in as a maintenance and repair vendor. So this particular maintenance and repair vendor that we're logged in as a test account, you can see they have various IEPs noted at the top. So if I went to try to go to this particular IEP's inventory, it's going to tell me that I'm not authorized yet by the IEP to access their account, so it wouldn't let me go any further. However, if I went into one that had authorized me, when they go in, the maintenance and repair vendor would have access, of course, to their own general information, which would be information that they had provided when they set up their account. They can assign secondary users under their account, and then they're able to actually view your inventory and actually go into a record and enter the FMCSA inspection date, upload a file for that, or the California BIT and upload a file for that, and also the state inspection information, and would be able to indicate the type of inspection and date for that. As you can see, all the other fields are grayed out. They don't have the ability to do anything with that data. They have no upload ability within this application here at the current time. We do allow them to export a file. So if they wanted to export, do a search, and search by date. Right now we have just a last inspection date. So if they put the date of April 1st in here, it's going to pull any record that has a inspection date for April. If they pulled a date any time within that month and did a search, it's going to pull back any records that have an inspection date within that month. What we plan to do very shortly is give them the ability to do a date range here, because we feel that some may want to pull it by a quarter or by a 6-month period, or whatever frequency they would want to pull it. This will allow them to do a date range. But for now, whatever date they put in here, it would pull any units that had an inspection date expiring within that month that they've selected. and then they would be able to pull back and go in and update that information. They can go back to they can do a chassis inquiry from within the application, so they can go to the public inquiry screen, or they can go back to the IEP list to see if they want to add another IEP. So if they say they want to add a new equipment provider, they would do a selection here to select the new provider, do a save, and they'll ask if they want to update the record. And then what they would do is then go back to the IEP list, and then you will see that the new one that I just added is showing here. But yet if they go to click go, that particular IEP would have to have authorized them to do so, access their account. So if we log in as an inspector, theirs is a similar type of screen as far as the features that they have. They'll see a list of the maintenance and repair vendors that have associated this inspector with their account, so they would be able to go into that and then see the list of IEPs that that particular maintenance and repair vendor was authorized by. And then if they click go, they would be able to see, from that point of view, they'd be able to see the chassis inventory and their company information. They go to chassis inventory here, they'd be able to see the chassis information. They go into the record, they would have access only to the information that is shown here for the inspection date information as well, the FMCSA, California BIT, and the other inspection type. So those are all the new fields and new features that we've added to the application. We're sure that once you get out there using the new functionality, there'll be things that you may want to enhance, things you might want to change. Certainly, we look for your feedback as you use the new features and functionalities, and we'll certainly be interested in hearing any comments or suggestions you may have regarding new features. What we have also done is we have updated the GIER master agreement. We will be adding back the chassis pool ID. We've had several requests for that information, so we do plan to add that back hopefully within the next week. And then we will send out a new copy for your files of the chassis master agreement with that addition added to the fields that are displayed for the public, as well as the GIER chassis annual fees for GIER subscribers that we sent out earlier this month. And then you will also get an email with a instructional document that outlines all of these new features and how you use each one of them. So certainly once you get that information, if there's anything that you have questions on or anything that you would like us to walk through, please either let myself or Stacy Fagan know, and we'll be happy to do so.